everybody, Dodger here, and welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game, episode number 60. 60. We've done 60 episodes in this game already. It has been a couple weeks since I did an episode, and I swear it is not just because of this awful iCar scenario, which, by the way, if you would like to see how that is done up to, like, the top potential, YBR put a video out doing this scenario, and he did it very well, and we kind of both agree on the fact that to do that one, you have to live in fantasy kind of terms. I like to do things with very realistic, real-world style cars and builds. He took a much different approach with it. Let's just say V8s were involved, and it was much easier to get a higher score that way. It's just not something I'm comfortable with. It's not the style of gameplay that I go for. But do check out his video if you'd like to see how it's done and how it's done correctly. But this week, since I am not quite ready to start any kind of new mini-series, I'm not ready to start the next chapter of the Vector Automotive Challenge, I have just kind of a one-off idea in mind. If we go to the sandbox here, you will see that I have a couple cars prepared, a front-rear setup and a mid-rear setup. And that is because, let's actually look at the front-rear one real quick. If you look here, this setup is glued aluminum, double wishbone, and polymer. And we go to the other one, it's going to freak out, don't you worry. Yes, I got an error message there, but it will be fine. Somehow, if I could get it to load. It's, does not like this car. I don't know what I've done with it. Oh, now the game froze. Okay, I've gotten it to load, I think. You have to close this out, yeah. Missing. Oh god, this car. I might have to redo that car. I don't know. We'll see. This car, glued aluminum, double wishbone, polymer. So they're same exact style of chassis. So we are building two virtually identical cars using a front engine setup and a mid engine setup. The challenge here is I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to design the car and tune it to go as fast as possible around the not Top Gear test track. These cars will be using the same style chassis. They have virtually identical wheelbases. I will be trying to make them virtually the same weight, and they will be using the same engine. So the challenge here is to see which is easier to get to go fast around the track. It's not necessarily to say which is better, because there's 1,000 different variables that I can't even begin to touch in an episode on which is absolutely, you know, at its best better to go around a racetrack, but which is easier to find the balance to go fast around a racetrack. There's a lot of, you know, internet arguing that goes on about this kind of stuff. People that are convinced that the front engine rear wheel drive setup's the best, and people that are convinced that mid engine's the best. I'm not here to take either side. I'm just here to say that one of them is easier to build than the other, and that's what we're here to find out. Before we can do that, we need to design an engine for the two of them. It's going to be a new engine, and I have something in mind, pretty much, you know, ready to go, so it shouldn't take very long. It should be around 4 liters. Actually, no, sorry, 3.5 liters, because I want it to be short-stroked. I've kind of got this pictured in my mind already. It will be a somewhat torquey engine, but I don't know that forged steel is required. Doesn't really matter. I do want it to be high revving, and the I-beam steel gives us a very high RPM limit, as does the forged piston. The lightweight forged gives it very high, but I don't think that's necessary. We'll give it a little quality bump. And it'll be dual red cam, 4 valves per cylinder, aluminum heads as well, and about 10.1 compression, or 10 to 1 compression. We're going to give it the modern VVT and VVL setup. So we'll go for a 60 and then an 80. There will be a little tuning on this, but not too much. Honestly, the engine is kind of irrelevant to the challenge, but I want something that's modern and sporty. Let's go a little bit quality on that too. This is a supercar after all. It's going to be an A for ease and spacing and sizing and all that business. Injection, we're going to go for direct injection with a twin intake. Performance style intake. This is a street car, not a race car. Running on super unleaded. We don't have to go crazy rich, but we can because of that direct injection. But we don't really need to, I don't think. Get a lot of timing. I would like to rev to at least 8, if possible. Should be easy to get 8. Let's go for long tubular, not necessarily race tubular. Dual exhaust, and that should be more than enough, I would say. It will be a realistic car, so we'll have cats on it, and a straight through muffler at least. Alright, let's see what she does. Sounds good, looked pretty good, as I expected. Fuel octane super low, so we can throw a ton more compression at this thing, and timing, and all of that good stuff. Sounded like it could rev a little higher too, so let's do that, and we'll quick test it. Okay, now up to 380, still just gobs of compression or octane left in it, so we'll give you that. And quick test it, up to 90. Up to 90, almost 400 horsepower. That would be a nice number to hit. Can it make it? There's 92. I think we actually have a little bit too much exhaust pipe. 396. It's very close. Very close. Quick test. 398. 399. Yeah, let's just leave it at 399. That sounds great. And we are just past peak horsepower at the RPM limit, so that is very nice. Very nice indeed. So this is a modern supercar V8 with all the modern fixins, if you will, with DFI and the variable valve timing and all that jazz. Okay, so now that the engine is complete, we don't have a car to put it in, so we need to select one of those. And I think I'm going to start with the front rear. Hopefully that doesn't... I mean, I'm sure that will have a little bit of an effect on it. You know, whichever one I do first is obviously going to be the one that I have less to go off of. But it should be fairly even. I've built enough cars like this that it shouldn't take me too terribly long to get set up and going. So 5 minutes should be pretty good. I will start the clock once the engine is selected, which is not in that menu, it is in this one. So let's hit choose engine. I will go over here to Google Chrome, where you can just type in Google Timer, and bam, there it is. Easy as that. And hit start. Let me see. Where is that engine on the list? Was this one? Yes, okay. And start. It is going. That is our engine. It is chosen. And now we have 5 minutes. Now, as far as this stuff goes, it's going to be very similar between the two. I do have the ability to modify it. That was not part of my silly rules. Boy, this one has a low estimated top speed. Lower than I expected. But it's not, like I said, it's not super car. It's only 400 horsepower. Certainly not like 0-1 level like I was kind of thinking or posing. It's a little bit lower than that. That should be good. 6-speed or 7? Let's go for 7. I think 7's kind of the standard anymore. It's got a nice little overdrive. Now, I am going to go for Sport Compound, not Semi-Slicks, because it is a road car, not a race car. 15s look good, don't they? No, they don't at all. 18s, and I am limited entire size. 315 front, 345 rear. That seems a little bit much. Now I gave the cars very similar fenders, so I will be limited in tire size similarly between the two. But I think I'm going to go down a little bit on the front of this one because I think the front of the mid-engine is a little narrower. So that will mean 315 is okay there to match it. Let's go for a little bit offset. If it allows, it will. Not that much. That's good. Moving on. Lots of brakes. 4 pistons in the front. Now this car will have a different brake setup because it is nose heavy. But if you notice, I chose a very, very, very light engine. So that should balance the two out. The mid-engine car won't be overly rear heavy. The front engine car won't be overly front heavy. So they should be closer in that weight ratio. And we'll take a look at that later. This doesn't have to be a comfortable car to drive, so 80 pad type is fine. Don't need as much rear disc. And don't need as much rear caliper either. That should even it out. We'll adjust that as needed. And I do not have wings on either car to help make it even, so I'm just going to go for the fully clad setup. I will use the same amount of cooling airflow on both and not give the brakes any on either, just to make it even. Alright, moving on. Got about 2 minutes left, so as far as the interiors go, it will be the same on both of them. I'm going to go for super light and not going to touch anything else other than safety, which will have premium on both, and everything under driver assist because it's a modern car. Alright, suspension. This is the part where we'll be doing some tuning. I'm going to choose race to begin with and see where we're at. Start it out, and let's go to the test track. We don't necessarily have to run the full car or the full track, so we will not. Oh, run the wrong track though. Airfield. Yeah. Okay, and it does it in 124.06. How can we make that better? It is oversteery. Very oversteery. I've got a minute and a half to choose some things to help that out. Let's do... Oh, why does it have so much spring in the back? Let's get rid of that. Let's put more front bar in it as well. Bet you that will help. Alright, yes, now it is significantly more understeery, and let's look at the track stats. We're down to a 23.45. A minute left to go. How is our braking? Braking is quite good. Could be better. I don't know that it needs to be better though. Let's see. Let's see about maybe doing a little bit less front sway bar. It seemed like it was pretty dramatic in its understeer there. 9.6, still the same. Didn't really change much in here. 23.41. 27 seconds remaining. I don't know what to do now. Low front camber, because it's definitely pushing a little bit. 15 seconds left. Stop. Down to a 24.18. Think that is going to be our final time because we've got 5 seconds left. Alright, so there is our baseline. 124.18 with the front engine rear-wheel drive setup. Yes, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, you're fine. Alrighty, now for the mid-engine car. We will choose the engine. It will be this one, and I will reset my timer and choose. Off we go. It's going to be sequential once again. 7 speeds. Luckily, it is saved all of this from the last car, so we can cheat a little bit. Top speed 191. That is the same. Tires, though, we did not save, so I need to do these. Let's see. Okay, it does go up to 285. I hit that perfectly. Awesome. Now the rears again need to be larger. I don't think they need to be as large. 315. We'll see how that works. Up to 18s again. Not much offset left in it. I know stagger is a little bit more important with a mid-engine car to try and combat that snap oversteer. As far as brakes go, you're still braking a lot with the front. You're not necessarily leading the brakes with the rear, but you know, you definitely need a little bit more rear brake in it than a front engine car. But when you brake into a turn, all the weight's still transferring to the front, so the fronts are still doing I would say the majority of the work in my mind. I don't know. I'm not 100% certain on that. So I'm going to square them up on brakes. I guess that would be the way to go, and I guess we'll find out. It's going to be fully clad. The cooling airflow, did I not use enough on the last one? It doesn't matter. If it's the same, it's the same. Reliability has no barring on this setup, basically. We went with nothing in there, did we? Nothing. No, we definitely had something. Balls, what was it? Super light and none? I don't know. I don't remember now. Safety was premium, I know that much. I guess it was none. I don't remember. This is why these are just for fun and not for science, because my brain is not smart enough to remember these things. Alright, suspension-wise, I'll do the same thing and just choose the race one to begin with. Look at the spring stiffness in the back. Crazy time. That's really, really high. We'll see how it does. Got about the same exact amount of time to go here. Track stats. And it did it in 125. So we're almost identical. That 124.18 is what we were going for. I need to quickly write that down. I got it. Okay. Lost all time there, but that's alright. Look at the yellow cone. Oversteer. Shocking. Probably because it's got more spring in it than a freaking F1 car. Alright, let's reduce that. Let's reduce that rear bar as well. And give it a little camber. I noticed that was lower than the other car. Start. Test track. Start. Yeah, rate. Still oversteer. Test track. Oh, times are coming down though. 124.76. Still oversteery. Let's match these bars up, which would be a little strange, but not unheard of. Track stats, 124.5. Yaw rate, still oversteery. Let's do a little bit bigger rear tire. Test track, yaw rate. Still oversteery. Time came down, but still oversteery. I got about a minute and 20 left, so let's actually look at this. Perhaps giving it a bigger difference in camber, front versus rear. I'm worried about reducing the stiffness too much. Let's look at the test track. We're actually hurting its G, which is weird. It's not good. But I feel as though if it wasn't breaking loose, it would be quicker around the track. What to do? Maybe more stiffness? I don't know right now. Test track. It did not have an effect on anything. Any values, that is. Track stats, we're down still with a 124.5. Last ditch effort. Reduce. Reduce, reduce, reduce. Increase, increase. Time is running out. Test track. Yaw rate. Still oversteery, a mess. Time actually went way up. Not good. Bad things have happened. 5 seconds. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Oh, time's up. Okay. So, alright, you be quiet. Be quiet now. So, it was actually much closer than I expected. We ended up with a 124.5 versus a 124.18. So, with my limited knowledge and overall derpiness, it was easier to get the front engine rear-wheel drive car faster in the short amount of time that I had. Okay, so now that the actual challenge is over, it's time to maybe look over some statistics and see where I went wrong, or maybe where the differences lied. I have the front rear engine car up right now, and I am looking over at the screen at the mid-engine car, and let's look at some statistics here. The top speed on the front rear was 175.9 miles per hour to the mid rear's 191, probably due to aero efficiency. Let's look, 9.0 on the front rear, yes, 6.1 on the mid rear. So that body is significantly better on the aero slickiness. I don't think it was due to this. No, that is not it. Okay, just checking. Just checking. Other interesting statistics: the 0 to 60, 4.2 on the front rear, 3.6 on the mid rear. So obviously faster in a straight line all around. But when we look at the weight distribution, the front engine rear wheel drive car was a 52.48. The mid engine car was a 36.5, 63.5. So a significant variance in front to rear ratio. It's worth noting that a mid-engine longitudinal setup may be better for this, and I will go look at that after it's said and done. Just some less things: the cornering G, 1.3 at low speed versus 1.27, and 1.2 at high speed versus 119.2, or sorry, 1.16. Words, 1.2 in the front rear, 1.16 on the mid rear. So there is where I think probably the main variance between the two was, and the real difference in time. Also notice that I was able to get the yaw rate fixed on the front rear relatively quickly, although we did end up going for the loose setup, didn't we? I didn't notice that at the end. So yeah, we actually ended up with a similar yaw curve, so it does go to the loose side, but the mid-engine car was much more profound, and I was never able to overcome that with that one. So, while we got some time to kill, one thing I want to look at is going back to the mid-rear one, rising it, and let's see. I don't know if it's even going to fit, but I want to check if going with a mid-longitudinal setup would work. So, will it fit? Yes, easily. And go to trim. We're going to leave everything exactly the same. And we'll see what changed. Virtually nothing. It gave it just a little bit more front weight distribution, but very little. So, did that change the time at all? Nope, exactly the same. So, you can see there's the difference. Alrighty, well, that is going to do it for this short little derpy episode. I hope you enjoyed the little journey we went down. It has been determined that in the realm of the Cone Dodger Talon Pace, it is easier to get a front-rear drive setup to go faster around the airfield track than it is a mid-rear setup. Hopefully, in the future, my knowledge base will expand to more include mid-rear setups, and perhaps this style of competition would have a different result. I am sure you guys will be cluing me in the comments as to what I did wrong and how I could have improved both the cars. But this episode was not really about the result. It was about setting up the competition, because this is something that I think will have a big impact on the future of the game. Eventually there will be, in the multiplayer code, there will be the ability to set up challenges like this, where not only you're just trying to build an engine to make points, but you can build cars to go fast, you can build cars to have, detailed stats kind of points. So that kind of stuff in the future is probably going to set up a lot more of collaboration potential, and I've had multiple offers to do that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, due to stuff going on in my personal life, I don't really have a nice set schedule or the kind of planned time to sit down and do collaborations with people. But in the future, I would expect a lot more of that kind of stuff from Automation, as well as hopefully another full series of the Vector Automotive Challenge. But yeah, that's going to do it for this time. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.